On August 15th, 1950, in Great Falls, Montana, perhaps the first UFO in human history was recorded on film. The film, recorded by Nick Mariana, shows two craft hovering in the clear sky. After the event, Mariana attempted to show his footage to military officials, but they dismissed it. In this episode, we will examine the Mariana UFO Incident and its aftermath. On August 15th, 1950, Nick Mariana, who worked as the general manager for the Great Falls Electric minor baseball team, arrived for work. Nick thought the day was going to be like any other, and he began inspecting the vacant Legion Stadium for the evening's game. He walked toward the top of the stadium as he wanted to check the wind direction and give the information to his outfielders. As he reached the top of the stands, a bright light suddenly reflected off the stands. Nick Mariana looked up and would be stunned to see two silvery crafts around 50 feet long and around 10,000 feet in the air. They were moving slowly across the sky. After a few minutes, they stopped, and a stunned Mariana ran to his car to get his 16mm camera. On the way, he ran into his secretary, Virginia Ronning, and she confirmed she saw the objects as well. After Nick got his camera, he would shoot the following footage.
This is the Montana film, projected exactly as it was photographed. The objects are moving against a 25 to 28 mile an hour wind. This is the film in double frame or slow motion. A slight bounce in the movement of the objects as well as the tower is perceptible. This is due to the handheld camera. The film, analyzed frame by frame, shows the movement of the objects to be horizontal and steady.
We will now vary the action and size of the objects and also stop the action from time to time for your study. We have just made a jump cut in the film to an enlarged size and reversed the action. You are now seeing the objects exactly as they were photographed, but from a closer perspective. Analysis reveals that the objects are not balloons, nor any kind of known aircraft. The images are very different from those produced by any kind of birds at any distance. The shape, brightness, speed, rectilinear path, steady motion, and separation rule out various forms of optical atmospheric mirages or cloud reflections. Comprehensive analysis has eliminated meteors and other known natural phenomena. The possibility of airplane reflection has been carefully studied and ruled out.
Mariana would go on to say that the disc appeared to be spinning and that there was no exhaust coming from them.
I'll show you the Montana film. This film was shot August the 15th, 1950. It was taken in Great Falls, Montana by Nick Mariana. Immediately after we were notified of the sighting, we sent an intelligence man to get a first-hand report.
My name is Nick Mariana. For the past 6 years, I've been the general manager of a minor league baseball club called the Electrics. We play out of Great Falls, Montana, and are a farm club of the Brooklyn Dodgers. On August 15th, 1950, at Legion Ballpark in Great Falls, Montana, after a couple of hours in the clubhouse office, I went up into the grandstand to call the groundskeeper. As I reached the top of the stairway, I glanced northward to the tall Anaconda Copper Company smokestack to check the direction of the wind from the white smoke. Force of habit, I suppose, because our outfielders use it as an indicator on defensive play. As I looked up, I saw two silvery objects moving swiftly out of the northwest. They appeared to be moving directly south. The objects were very bright and about 10,000 feet in the air. They appeared to be of a bright, shiny metal, like polished silver. Both were the same size and were traveling at the same rate of speed, which was much slower than the jets which shot by shortly after I filmed the discs. Suddenly, they stopped. It was then I remembered the camera in the glove compartment of my car. I raced downstairs, yelling for my secretary, Miss Virginia Roney. The distance from the top of the stairway to my car is about 60 feet, and I must have made that in about 6 jumps. I asked my secretary if she saw anything, and she said yes, 2 silvery spheres. I unlocked the glove compartment of my car, took out the camera, turned the telephoto lens on the turret into position, set the camera at f/22, picked up the objects in the viewfinder, and pressed the trigger. The discs appeared to be spinning like the top and were about 50 feet across and about 50 yards apart. I could not see any exhaust, wings, or any kind of fuselage. There was no cabin, no odor, no sound, except I thought I heard a whooshing sound when I first saw them. As the film clicked through the camera, I could see the objects moving southeast behind the General Mills grain building and the black water tank directly south of the ballpark. I filmed the objects until they disappeared into the blue sky behind the water tank.
It's important to note what happened after the event as well. Mariana would meet with U.S. Air Force Captain John P. Bernaldson. Captain Bernaldson interviewed Mariana at a nearby Air Force base and would ask him to take the film to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for analysis. Mariana agreed, but this would later prove to be a huge mistake. Captain Bernaldson would have the film analyzed, and the Air Force came back and concluded the 2 objects were actually reflections of 2 F-94 jet fighters. The military would then hand the footage back to Mariana, but according to Mariana, they had trimmed the film. Most importantly, they had cut out the part that shows the UFO spinning. This was backed up by several residents in the area who claimed to have seen that part of the film. The military denied it and said they never cut out that part. In 1952, Captain Edward Ruppelt, the leader of Project Blue Book, approached Mariana and asked him if they could analyze the film again. Mariana was hesitant, but the two agreed, and Mariana was able to make the Air Force sign an agreement not to take out any frames. The military this time would come to a different conclusion. The objects weren't a balloon, nor a meteor. The original conclusion of reflections was also said to be incorrect as well. According to Ruppelt, the lights were too steady to be reflections, and also there were no fighter jets in the area. Still, this didn't stop the Robertson Panel in 1953 from giving it a silly conclusion. The Robertson Panel came from the rash of UFO sightings during the 1952 UFO flap. With such a high number of UFO reports, in 1952, both the CIA and Air Force became concerned an enemy could flood the country with false UFO reports and surprise attack the United States. In January 1953, the Robertson Panel was formed. The panel was composed of leading scientists and led by physicist Howard P. Robertson. The panel spent 4 days looking at the best UFO cases provided by Project Blue Book. Afterward, they recommended that Project Blue Book shouldn't publicize UFO cases that went unsolved. The goal was to try and take the mystery and popularity out of the UFO phenomena. This decision would have a major impact on UFO disclosure that still exists till present day. So what can we make of the Mariana photos? It's clear that something is up in the sky, and it's not a weather balloon. Interestingly, Great Falls, Montana has become one of the big hotspots for UFOs in the United States. While it's not the crystal clear image we hope for in terms of seeing a UFO, the video definitely shows something in the sky, something that is not a reflection.